Inheritance is a concept that we're familiar with biologically, at least hopefully you are. So I have a son and a daughter now, and I hope that they inherit from me my positive traits. I'm not going to list them right now because maybe the list might be a little too short, but I'm hoping they don't inherit my negative traits. So inheritance is a bit of a double-edged sword in this little first metaphor, because the good things I want them to take on, the bad things I don't want them to. Chances are they're going to take on some mixture of both, and we'll find out how things turn out. But biologically speaking, our genes allow certain traits and maybe even behaviors to be inherited from a parent to a child. And in an object-oriented language, which both Python and Java are, we have the ability to create classes that inherit from other classes. And so kind of really roughly and conceptually, if we have a template of just something, whatever it is for now, I can create other templates that do what we call look to the parent one. Meaning that whatever this template is able to do, the ones that inherit from them are able to do as well. This is called the parent class, and this is called the child class. And technically, this arrangement can go as far back as you want. I could have a parent looking to, this might go off the board here a little bit, but some other template before it that we don't call the grandparent, we don't skip generations. Then in this case, this would be the child of this parent. So anything that's inheriting is a child. Anything that's inherited from is a parent, just kind of like things are in real life. So let's just worry about one tier of inheritance. Oh, sorry, wait, it's the parent there. Let me put that back on. And let's just look at a single example of this inheritance in action to keep things from getting too complicated for now. So my dad has some traits that are inheritable. Maybe one of those traits we want to talk about is blue eyes. My dad has blue eyes, and I'm pretty sure they sometimes change color a little bit, but you see, they're sometimes kind of greenish, but I think they're kind of blue. I've inherited that trait. So the fact that my dad's blueprint has blue eyes, and I inherit from my dad means that I also have blue eyes. Now, my dad also sometimes has, as a behavior, a short temper. And guess what? I sometimes do too. I kind of picked that up along the way from him a little bit at times. So not always, maybe blue eyes you think are wonderful, inherit that, but I also inherit short temper. If I'm writing the code for this, I actually don't write the blue eyes or the short temper in the child class at all. Because of this inheritance, it's built in, kind of baked into the system, that whatever the parent has, the child also has, unless otherwise stated. The inheritance, because it's been defined here, is kind of automatic. So right now, the parent's eye attribute has the color blue. And the parent's behavior, short temper, they are able to implement. However, me as the child have both of these things as well. I'm going to make this box a bit bigger. I'm just realizing how small it must look on your screen. So I'm going to blow this child box up to show you a couple more things. A child may inherit from a parent, but they're still their own individual entity as well. So a child can implement some of their own behaviors. For example, my parent, let's expand this one down as well, might have a behavior of, and this is true for my dad, go biking. He has some behavior to go biking. And you know what? I've inherited that. I like to bike too. But I have a trait that my dad doesn't, which is play game. I like playing video games, and my dad does not. He doesn't want anything to do with them, not interested. This is not a trait my parent has. But I'm more than welcome to have it because I'm an individual, whether or not he cares that I have it. So play game is a behavior unique to the child. In this case, the child is inheriting the eyes, the temper, and the biking from the parent, but has a unique behavior, play game, the parent doesn't have. one more thing that can happen in inheritance is the child can actually override behaviors or attributes from the parents. For example, maybe my parent has, let me fix this here, bedtime, an attribute, equals 10 p.m. My dad, regular, at least I think so, goes to bed at around 10 p.m. pretty regularly. That's kind of the range defined for the attribute. And when he raised me, he tried to train me to go to bed early enough to be able to kind of get up early in the morning. His business required him to do so. But for me, as a child, over time, through lack of discipline and just preference, what did I say? Bed might? Bed, wow. Bed mites, bed bugs. Something is on my mind maybe. Bed, I'm not, okay. Bedtime. Apparently I need to sleep more. My bedtime is a little more flexible. It's like 11 to 4. It could be any time in that range. I like to stay up late, and it's pretty flexible. So the bedtime of 10 p.m. is a trait that I could have inherited, but because I've restated that trait's name with the same definition, I override and replace his value with my own. So I'm inheriting the trait that there is a bedtime, but my value of it, my way of working with it, is unique and my own because I've overridden his. The fact that I have one means his doesn't get applied to me. Anything that I don't override, I get. So I have the same eye color. It's inherited. My temper, I'm working on it. Hopefully I can override it at some point better than I have. And I still go biking. Maybe I don't want to override. I want that trait. It's a good one. I want to keep that. So I'm happy to inherit it. But the bedtime, I've definitely overridden that at this point. I have my own value that's different than my parents'. So this inheritance thing allows us some pretty cool functionality where we can have shared traits between a lot of different objects. I could have another child, say this is my brother. So this is the me class. Let's label it down. This is the me class, and this is my brother class. Now we have two of us that both inherit from the same parent. My brother also inherits a bunch of these traits. Let's just say my brother is a lot like my dad. Maybe not the most true, but let's say I don't add anything else to this class. What that's saying, let's see if you can actually see it better down here, there we go, is that because he inherits from this class, all of my dad's traits are the same for my brother. They're not the same person, they're still individual templates and individual objects, if I was to instantiate them, but my brother gets the luxury of not, or maybe the curse in some ways, of not really being any different than my dad. And in our code, we can harness this to create shared sections of generic ideas that are shared between child classes that implement them. Without limiting ourselves to everyone just being a clone of everything else, we can always implement our own custom behaviors. We can override attributes and behaviors. We can still be independent individuals. We get the best of both worlds. We get to learn from and borrow from the parent while also being our own unique snowflake selves. Teach you more about the unique language implementations of it in the following videos.